Timilehin Ajayi stood by the rusting iron gate of his family compound in Ijebu-Ode, Ogun State, a single bag slung over his shoulder. The sun hung low in the sky, casting an orange glow over the familiar dusty roads and corrugated iron roofs. It was the end of an era for him. He had just completed his secondary school certificate examination, and now his life was poised to change in ways he couldn't yet imagine. For as long as Timilehin could remember, football had been more than just pastime. It was his refuge, his sanctuary, and his one true ambition. Every afternoon after school, he would gather with his friends at a makeshift field behind St. Peter's Grammar School. There, on a patchy, grassless field marked by stones and worn goalposts, Timilehin's feet told stories of dribbles, impossible goals, and the roar of imaginary crowds. It wasn't just good, it was exceptional. Coaches at local tournaments spoke of him in hushed, hopeful tones, predicting a future that sparkled with promise. But as is often the case in many Nigerian homes, ambition had to negotiate its place with reality. His elder brother, Tunde, had long taken on the role of guardian since their parents passed away in a road accident when Timilehin was 10. Tunde, 11 years his senior, had sacrificed so much to ensure Timilehin stayed in school and off the streets. He was a bank officer in Lagos State, a position that had taken him years of night studies, part-time work, and relentless determination to secure. In his eyes, success meant stability, a well-paying job, a respectable title, and the kind of life their parents would have wanted for them. When Timilehin arrived at the bustling city of Lagos, the cacophony of honking danfos, the ever-moving crowd of traders, commuters, and students was away from the quiet streets of Ijebu-Ode. He was both terrified and fascinated. Tunde's apartment was modest but clean, located in the densely populated area of Agege. On his first night, as they ate a simple meal of eba and egusi, Tunde laid out his plans. Timilehin, you've done well in your exams. Tunde began, his voice firm but kind. Now it's time to think about your future. I've already spoken to Uncle Wale. He can help you gain admission to Lagos State Polytechnic. I want you to study banking and finance. With time, you will join me in the bank. There's good money there. Timilehin's heart sank. He had hoped his brother would see the fire in his eyes, would understand that numbers on a page could never steer his soul the way a ball at his feet did. But he also knew better than to argue. Okay, bro. Timilehin replied softly, though every fiber of his being screamed in protest. Weeks turned into months. Timilehin enrolled in extra lessons, prepared for polytechnic admission, and did his best to adjust to life in Lagos. But the ache in his chest never left. Each evening, he would peer through the window, watching boys his age play football in the dusty lot next to their compound. His legs twitched with longing. One Sunday afternoon, while Tunde was on a weekend shift at the bank, Timilehin sneaked out with an old pair of boots he had managed to smuggle from home. The neighborhood boys welcomed him like a long-lost brother. It took only minutes for Timilehin's skills to mesmerize them. His swift dribbles, sharp passes, and powerful shots left spectators cheering. Word quickly spread about the boy from Ogun State who could dance with the ball. A local amateur coach, Coach Musa, noticed him and extended an invitation to join a small football academy in the area. Timilehin balanced his secret life with the academic expectations of his brother. Mornings were for studies and errands, afternoons for football, and evenings for lessons, but secrets have a way of unraveling. One fateful evening, after a neighborhood tournament where Timilehin had scored the winning goal, He returned home in dust, a slight cut on his forehead. He was met at the door by Tunde, who had been called home early by a neighbor concerned about Timilehin's absence. The confrontation was inevitable. Timilehin, so this is what you have been doing, right? This is what you have been doing behind my back. Tunde's voice was laced with anger and disappointment. After everything I've done for you, you want to waste your life chasing a foolish dream. Timilehin felt a mixture of shame and defiance. It's not foolish, bro. He replied, his voice trembling. It's my dream. It's what makes me happy and can be something I know I can. But Tunde was unmoved. He forbade Timilehin from ever stepping on the pitch again. The next day, he collected Timilehin's boots, jerseys, and anything football related, locking them away. The days that followed were a great blur for Timilehin. The spark in his eyes dimmed. He sat through lessons like a ghost, the weight of unfulfilled passion heavy on his shoulders. It wasn't until a chance encounter weeks later that hope flickered again. An older man, Mr. Adeleke, a retired footballer and neighbor who had been quietly watching Timilehin's struggle, approached him one evening. I see you, boy. The man said, I see the fight in your heart. Don't let anyone kill that. I know how it feels. Mr. Adeleke shared his own story. Story of dreams deferred and opportunity missed because of family obligations. He promised to mentor Timilehin in whatever quiet way possible. Slowly, discreetly, Timilehin began training again in secret, sometimes at dawn before the city awoke, sometimes late at night. Mr. Adeleke taught him more than just tactics. He taught him discipline, resilience, and how to navigate the fine line between duty and passion. As months rolled into a year, Timilehin's talent sharpened. He managed to impress scouts from a local semi-professional team during an invitational match. One scout, a groove man named Coach Danjuma, offered him a spot on the junior team with a modest stipend and promise of exposure. Now, standing at the crossroads of destiny, Timilehin knew he could no longer live a divided life. It was time to confront his brother one last time. One evening, sitting across Tunde, Timilehin spoke with a calm strength that belied his age. Bro, I love you. I respect everything you've done for me. But I need to live my life. I really need to live my own life. I've been offered a spot on a team. It's not the Premier League yet, but it's a start. Please let me try. Tunde stared at him for a long, tense moment. Something in Timilehin's voice, in his unwavering gaze, made him pause. If I stop you now, Tunde finally said, his voice softened. I'll be killing the only thing that makes you you. From that day, things changed. While reluctant at first, Tunde allowed Timilehin to pursue football on the condition that he would still sit for his polytechnic admission just to keep doors open. Timilehin agreed. In the years that followed, Timilehin's name would grace newspapers, his goals bringing crowds to their feet, his story inspiring countless young boys from dusty streets and crowded compounds. And through it all, he never forgot the boy who left Ogun State with a bag on his shoulder, nor the brother who in his own way only ever wanted what was best. As Timilehin's days with the junior team stretched into months, the boy who had once sneaked through the back streets of Agege now strolled onto pitches with a growing sense of confidence. The stipend from the team wasn't much, but it gave him just enough to contribute to the house and save for his gear. Tunde, while still wary of the path his younger brother had chosen, began to attend some of Timilehin's matches quietly, standing at the far end of the pitch, dressed in his crisp sky blue shirt and tie straight from the bank. One particular evening, after Timilehin scored a stunning free kick during a decisive league match, Tunde was seen clapping, his face betraying a mixture of pride and surrender. That night, over bowls of amala and ewedu, Tunde finally smiled and admitted, "You are good, Timilehin, real good." The following year, Timilehin received an offer to join a more prominent semi-professional team on Lagos Island, Ikorodu Warriors FC. With this new opportunity came new challenges, tougher competition, a more demanding schedule, and higher expectations. But Timilehin thrived. In between training sessions and weekend matches, he sat for his Lagos State Polytechnic admission as promised, and though he passed, he made it clear to Tunde that football will always come first. Tunde, now older and less rigid, respected his brother's determination. By age 20, Timilehin's name had begun to appear in local sports pages. His story spread across community radio stations and social media pages run by eager fans of Nigerian grassroots football. It wasn't long before a scout for a professional National League team, Dream Stars United FC, invited him for trials. Against hundreds of other young, desperate hopefuls, Timilehin's speed, precision, and natural flair set him apart. He earned a place on the squad. At 21, Timilehin Ajayi made his professional debut, and as fate would have it, Tunde was there in the crowd, cheering louder than anyone else. And as he stood on the vast floodlight pitch, crowd roaring, Timilehin dove back to the boy in Ijebu-Ode, playing barefoot on dusty fields, believing in a dream no one else could see. He smiled. Dear viewers and dear listeners, this is not just a folktale, but an appeal to parents and guardians who are genuinely forcing a profession on their children or wards to be flexible enough to let their children or wards follow their passion and give them maximum support, as Timilehin's story will serve as an inspiration to a lot of children to always follow their dreams.